live?
Keith Laudieri.
We're live?
No, we're not live.
All right, good. So just finished recording the Graveltooth record. We finished the drum parts on it, and I wanted to kind of break down what I used on the record in case anybody's interested. So we have the bare bones here is a Gretsch Brooklyn kit. It's a 20 by 16 inch bass drum. We have a 12 by 8 inch tom and a 14 by, I think it's 12 or 13, maybe it's 14 floor tom. And I actually took the bottom head off the floor tom to get kind of a more choked tone. And then with that, I went ahead and I used the Aquarian Vintage Modern 2 heads, which is a 2-ply head, and it's got sort of a texture to it. Now, I didn't use any brushes on this record, but it just gave it more of a fat, warm tone. So that's on the 2 toms there. The snare drum was actually, it's made by a company in Worcester, Massachusetts called Wahlberg and Auger. This one's fairly old. I think it's around the 50s or 60s, and it's all got the vintage Gretsch broadcaster lugs on there. But the shell itself and the wrap and the lugs are what's original. Everything else I kind of updated on it. Cymbals, we went mostly Zildjian on this session. This is an old A ride cymbal. It's kind of medium thin. It's got a nice, the engineer named it Smoky. It's got a crack in it actually, a fairly large crack, but it still sings and doesn't vibrate, which is pretty cool. This is actually a studio crash that was here that I hit a couple times and loved, so I used it on the whole session. It's a 19-inch K custom dark thin crash. Sounds really good. And then over here is a 17-inch K custom fast crash that's been in the arsenal for years. For the hi-hats on this session, we did something really interesting. Rather than your typical set of hi-hats, I had two sort of medium weight Zildjian A cymbal down here, and then this old Sabian thin crash that's been in my closet for years. We just put them together and it created a really cool sound, which I think you'll dig on the record, really vintage. Tuning, everything is fairly medium to low. The snare drum, we really kind of tried to choke it to the point where it didn't sound like a cardboard box, so it's still got some ring and tone. And I actually pitched it so I wouldn't be tempted to do too many rim shots, which made it fat. A couple moon gels, a little, ring here to catch the overtones, and
Pitching it changes the way the snares wires sit or something.
No. Pitching it, basically the way I play drums, I usually play with my snare flat, and I have a tendency to hit a lot of rim shots. So to try to avoid that, I just pitched the snare, and it allowed me to really just hit dead center and get the best sound. Miking situation on this.
Yeah, what's with these two 57?
So I'm not a big tech guy when it comes to that. Frenchie, the producer, thought it would give a cool sound to have some different frequencies on there. So we got the 257s on the top. There's a mic on the bottom of the snare. There's a total of 14 mics on this kit. Bass drum alone has 3 microphones.
This one right here, he said it's like a radio mic, like very
this is a real
lo-fi.
kind of just a little
picks up the whole kit, but
little
it's
vibe.
also
Yeah,
old sounding.
a single overhead, and then these vintage
This guy.
tom mics. There's a Telefunken.
You know
over
anything
there.
about this? I heard this was quite
That's a treat. That mic.
a
there.
piece.
Yeah, so we got one in, one outside, and one to capture a couple feet away. A couple vintage tom mics, hi-hats mic'd up.
You got this nice single overhead.
So yeah, I'm excited to, we're listening, they're actually mixing it downstairs now, mixing the drums and the bass in and getting the vibe. It sounds really cool, and we're pumped to put out this record. I think maybe July it'll come out, so thanks for checking out the gear.